Khan is joining us now.
All right, beautiful. That's what we all need to know. That's exactly right. Tony, welcome back to Sedano and Kap. Second timer, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me on. It's great to be back with you.
Well, last time it was me, Kap, and Sedano, but Sedano is in Connecticut at ESPN headquarters. You got Super Bowl champion DeMarco Farr, the great Ram defensive tackle, who's in today. And by the way, he's a monster wrestling fan.
I'm making a run-in, Tony. Here I come. Sliding under the bottom rope. Here I come.
Awesome.
I may turn on Kap. Yeah. You guys have a huge event coming up in London at Wembley, right?
We have a huge event coming up just in a few weeks. August 25th, AEW All In at Wembley Stadium. It's going to be massive. It's on pay-per-view. It's an early start because it's in London, so it'll be on in the LA morning time on August 25th, Sunday. It's going to be a massive event going back to Wembley Stadium. Last year, we set the world attendance record for pro wrestling, 81,035 tickets for that show. Very excited to go back. We're on a great pace right now with tickets. It's going to be a huge stadium show and absolutely, I think, the best wrestling show of the year. It's stacked from top to bottom, and I personally am so excited about many things on the card, including all these huge matches like MJF versus Will Ospreay for the international title or the Americas title. You've got Mercedes Moné versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, for the TBS title.
Yes.
Of course, Toni Storm, timeless Toni Storm versus her protege, Mariah May, for the AEW World Women's title. And to me, one of the biggest things in a long time in pro wrestling is Bryan Danielson, maybe the greatest pro wrestler I've ever seen in my life. Bryan Danielson putting his career on the line against the AEW World Championship, Swerve Strickland, and that's all August 25th, AEW All In.
Tony Khan is here. He's the founder of AEW. So AEW is not that old. It's only 5 or 6 years old, right? So how did it become so popular in the UK? I mean, we know about what happened here in the U.S. and TV and, the wrestlers that you got, but how did it become so popular internationally?
Well, when we started AEW, I built these relationships. Like you said, we're on every Wednesday night on TBS at 8 o'clock. We're on every weekend, Fridays and Saturdays on TNT. And in the UK, we also have a great TV partner. We're on ITV, which is the top commercial network in the UK. And we have huge TV visibility. AEW is by far the most watched wrestling company in the UK every week. And we have a ton of fans over there. And we did our first ever UK show last year at London Wembley Stadium, and we're going back this year. It's going to be fantastic, and I can't wait to go back there. But also, it's a huge worldwide pay-per-view. So in addition to the fans in the UK, AEW is on in 150 countries around the world now, and pro wrestling is a global sport.
Big time. I always wanted to ask you, how do you pick your talent? Because I'm sure you have an endless list of people that want to work for you, but guys like MJF, I can't stand, which means he's great at what he does. I love the Young Bucks. Swerve is outstanding. And Mercedes Moné, of course, that's must-see TV. How do you pick your talent? You see a guy or a girl and say, that is AEW talent.
It's, a great question. I think there are so many different things that make a great wrestler, and we want the best wrestlers in AEW. The slogan is AEW, where the best wrestle, and it's also the truth. We have a fantastic roster, and I love pro wrestling. I grew up as a fan of wrestling, and I guess we really scour the entire planet. Like I said, with wrestling on in 150 countries, we've brought in great wrestlers from all over the world, different countries and different parts of America, different parts of North America, and from Europe, Japan, all over. And I think that different skills, you can be big or small, you can be fast, you can be strong, you can be, fast and strong. There are so many different things that make a great wrestler. A lot of it is physical, but there's also a mental and charismatic component to pro wrestling. And I think in AEW, we have so many great stars right now. And that's how, for us, we tried to build a great roster here.
Tony Khan is the founder of AEW. He's back on Sedano and Kap here on 710. This is his second appearance. And, Tony, we're glad you're back. And like we said, last time you were here, we wanted to get you on the show and keep you around, man. We want you to be on as often as you want to be on. Dude, I got to ask you the question, though, right away, which is, I put in your name into Google just getting ready for today, and all everybody's talking about is a meeting that you had with Shane McMahon, who everybody knows his father, Vince McMahon, was the founder of WWE, and I guess maybe his father. So what's the deal between you and McMahon, who most people associate obviously with WWE? Is he going to come and do something with you at AEW?
Well, as I understand, he's not doing anything with WWE, and I had a really nice visit with him. You know, I had heard from a lot of people that he was interested in talking, and it had become, frankly, a big media story to the point where I was getting asked on the record questions about it, and I answered them. And just like I'll answer you now, you know, in advance of, I had never met him, in advance of my first conversation with him, there was a lot of buzz about this. So I thought it would certainly be worth talking, and I have a lot of respect for him. I had never met him, but he seemed like a really nice guy. I sat down with him. He was fantastic. I really enjoyed talking to him. He is a very smart person about wrestling, and I thought he was a great guy. And we have a lot of mutual friends, and we both happen to be in Dallas. We're doing AEW in Dallas every week right now for Saturdays. You know, we have a great thing going with Wednesdays on TBS. We've been all over the country, including there in LA at the Forum, where we've had some of our best shows ever there at the Forum in LA. We go all over the country every Wednesday night. And for Saturdays lately, we've been doing shows every week in Dallas, focusing that TNT show there where there's that great tradition of pro wrestling. So many fans now have seen the Iron Claw, and really old school wrestling fans know the history that's there. This is one of the great wrestling territories. Well, I was down there in Dallas, and he was in Dallas, and a mutual friend linked us up who's one of the bigger names in pro wrestling. And that friend, you know, put us on a group chat. We were both in the same town at the same time. Had a really nice talk. And I really enjoyed visiting with him. Clearly there was a lot of interest in it. Somebody in the middle of talking in an airport conference room, somebody just busted in, I guess, and took a photo. But I think that's fine. And I enjoyed the conversation. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with a couple people getting together and talking about wrestling. I think that's part of what makes wrestling so great, is there's a lot to talk about, and we're all fans at heart.
Let me apologize. That was me busting in, taking the picture, because that would be seismic. I'm going through my wrestling Rolodex. Medusa throwing the belt away, the Outsiders showing up on WCW. If a McMahon showed up in your ring, that would be seismic. That would change everything. I hope this happens.
Well, it's a big thing. I appreciate you coming in, apparently taking the photo. I should have recognized you. But it's nice to talk to you again.
I'm stealthy.
And,
yeah.
Very, very good. Very good. You know, it's exciting. It was nice to talk to him. I don't know what's to come, but I think it's an exciting time in AEW right now. And
big time.
And, you know, so many cool things going on with us. And we're very blessed to be on Warner Brothers Discovery, have shows on TBS every Wednesday, TNT every weekend. It's a blessing. And, you know, you guys are pro wrestling fans. You know that there's been a great tradition of wrestling on TBS and TNT. And it meant a lot for AEW to bring that back. And
thank you for that, by the way. Yeah, I feel like a kid again.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
It really is great, right? It's something that I think we all miss, was having more wrestling on TV. And over the last 5 years, like you said, it's a pretty new company. That's something we've really been able to do, and we've expanded so much. You know, we started with doing just 2 hours a week on TNT, and now we do 5 hours a week across TBS and TNT. And I feel like a kid again, too. It's something that is just a great thing about America. I think it's awesome when there's wrestling on TBS and TNT. I know I grew up with it, and that's what AEW has been able to bring back.
So let's pretend like we're in the 8th grade for 1 second. Did I hear you say Bryan Danielson is the best in-ring performer you've ever seen? Woo!
I think he's definitely, for me, I would say it's a short list with Bryan Danielson, the Dynamite Kid, Bret the Hitman Hart,
yes,
and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Nature Boy Ric Flair, Steve Austin. You know,
you are bona fide. Okay, you're in the club. Thank you.
So I definitely think it's a great list, but I would say Bryan Danielson absolutely is there with the best wrestlers of all time, and he's one of my heroes. And we're pretty similar age, and Bryan was breaking in when I was in college as a top independent wrestling star. And I bought his DVDs when I was in college before he made it on a national level, and I've always been a real fan of him. I'm really blessed and excited. You know, this Wednesday, less than 48 hours from right now, we're going to have a huge episode of Wednesday Night Dynamite on TBS. And Bryan, I don't know what's going to happen at Wembley Stadium. Who knows, right? It's going to be a huge match, title versus career, and it's possible that's going to be the end of Bryan Danielson's wrestling career. And what a way it would be to go out. I do know that Bryan has said he's not going to be able to wrestle much longer. Either way, he's really made commitments to his family. He's going home. He's definitely one of the most beloved wrestlers of this generation, no doubt. One of the most respected. And I think Swerve has been this fantastic AEW champion and is really a dominant star. We've seen the Swerve Hangman rivalry loom over everything we do in AEW as really some of the best stuff in the company. And having a world champion like Swerve, it means a lot. And, having somebody that now is on this hot of a streak where he has had Hangman Page's number, he's beaten Will Ospreay, Christian Cage, time after time, Swerve has proven himself. And then in the Blood and Guts cage match, his team did it again, Team AEW. And I think title versus career, that's a huge match. And for me, Bryan's somebody I've basically been able to watch his entire career from the first matches until now. What we know are going to be the final matches of his career will be in AEW. And possibly the end of his career is going to be August 25th at Wembley Stadium. I'm very excited 48 hours from now on Wednesday Night Dynamite. Bryan gets to sharpen his skills going into Wembley Stadium on Wednesday against Jeff Jarrett, who is another great in-ring wrestler, one of the greats, another all-timer legend. And we'll have, to me, maybe the greatest of all time, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat at ringside as a special guest who's a mentor to Bryan and to me. And to have
Steamboat at ringside.
Yeah, Ricky Steamboat at ringside for Jarrett versus Danielson Wednesday.
How old is Ricky now? What do you think?
I would say he's about 70, I would think. And it's really three generations of great wrestlers, right?
Awesome.
With Steamboat, Jarrett, and Danielson together.
Yeah. Hey, DeMarco, you would have loved it because when we first got a chance to meet Tony, earlier in the day, Swerve Strickland was in the studio.
I heard.
And it was awesome, and he was great. And then Tony came on later that day. Bryan Danielson, let me ask you guys this question. Because, listen, DeMarco, you're obviously all NFL. And Tony, your dad is the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, so I know you're deeply involved in the NFL. Who does Bryan Danielson remind you of or look like? Or maybe what NFL player looks just like Bryan Danielson? Does anybody come to mind?
He's got the face of an offensive guard.
Well, hey, Tony, are you watching receiver?
That's interesting. So who are you about to say?
I think he looks like George Kittle, or vice versa.
Oh, okay.
That's a big wrestling fan.
Yes.
That's interesting. I could see that. He's a hardworking guy, and when you think about it, it's one of those great stories. It's like Invincible. It's like Rudy.
Yeah.
It's not the biggest guy. It's not the strongest guy. It's the guy who really cares the most. And I can tell you that's true. He does care the most. He just is flying back as we speak from doing 11 interviews in London in the past 24 hours to promote this show. And he cares about what happens in the company and to the people in the company as much or more than anybody. If I got hit by a bus, I've told my dad Bryan Danielson should run AEW because I don't think there's anybody I would trust more to do the right thing in any situation. And he's got great wrestling instincts. I think he would, it's a lot of bandwidth. It's a hard job. It's a lot of hours. There would be a lot of people to help and step up, but I also know everybody would get behind him. And it's going to be a very sad thing when he walks away. You never know you're in the good old days until they're almost over or until they are over. And in this case, at least we can all take a breath and look at it and realize this is almost over. And to me, Bryan's career is one of the greatest. It's spanned different companies, different styles of wrestling, so many different opponents over the last 25 years. And if it's the end at Wembley Stadium, I think that's a perfect place to end it. Swerve would be the perfect person to end it. And I also think that I'm going to enjoy every bit of it while I can, and that's why I'm so excited about Bryan Danielson versus Jeff Jarrett Wednesday night on TBS with Ricky Steamboat at ringside. That's a sentence I never thought I would
Unreal.
say.
Yeah. I mean, that's super cool. Hey, Tony, we're up against the clock real quick. Our Sedano was telling us he was just over in London, and he was saying that they call football or flag football in the kids' schools, they call it jag tag. And I assume that's because the Jaguars go over and play there often. What can you tell us about that?
That is a big deal. Jaguars football has become a big attraction in London. We've been doing games there now for a dozen years. We play at Wembley Stadium, where AEW is heading, and we also play at Tottenham. Right now, we built a great fan base there, and we've done it in a way where we planted roots in Jacksonville. We go play one home game and one road game in London every year. And that way the fans in Jacksonville, they still get all the home games minus one. And we built this huge fan base, and it's a win-win for the franchise. And you've seen we built an international identity, and I think that's really cool. And with flag football coming to the LA Olympics, that's something we can all look forward to, is jag tag in the Olympics.
Tony Khan, the founder of AEW. Hey, Tony, it is always great to have you.
Just one run in, Tony, please. When you're in LA, let me run in just one time. I'll take the pile driver.
Literally, we're going to do it. You're going to do a run in. I can't wait.
There we go.
DeMarco, that would be amazing. Tony, congratulations as always on all the success. We'll be looking forward to the end of the month at Wembley back in London, and we'll be looking forward to this Wednesday night show because I got to see Ricky the Dragon Steamboat come back and be part of it at ringside. Tony, it's great to be with you, man. Appreciate you.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me on. I can't wait to see you again soon.
Thank you, sir.
Tony Khan, founder
my
of AEW.
kind of guy.
I know you, dude. You are hardcore. You know, I was a